Thanks very much. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. So my name is Gabriel. I look after what we refer to as the solution advisory practice of Blue Yonder in the EMEA region. It's really my pleasure to talk to you today about how the platform economy approach really helps you to put your customer at the center of your planning, your commerce, and your logistics activities, even, or let's say, especially in COVID times. So let's take a closer look at the forces that influence and impact the supply chain of today. Right. So first point here is the digitization, right? So I think we heard it earlier on, right? So data silos, right, and system boundaries, and let's say a bit of an inhomogeneous solution landscape. I mean, that's challenging for any company, right? But then we look at digital technologies such as AI and machine learning, cloud native solutions, microservices-based architectures, augmented reality, digital twins, virtual reality, you name it, right? But the good thing about all those is they actually can help overcome those boundaries. And they might also actually allow companies like yours to rethink operations and business processes, maybe even in unprecedented and maybe sometimes unexpected ways, right? So they really are helping enterprises to achieve better visibility and maybe even foresight into the variability, and that's allowing them then to really better manage and plan their business. The next point is then the industry convergence. So the trends we see is really that manufacturers, they are embracing direct to consumer models more and more and more to drive brand loyalty in particular, right? And at the same time, when we look at the retail side of the supply chain, then we're seeing that they are increasingly pushing private labels to consumers. And as such, they are becoming, manufacturers to some extent of their own. So in a future with more vertical integration, right, the supply chains will have to be increasingly connected and networked via a platform infrastructure. And that platform infrastructure needs to be able to support massive volumes of very fast changing data, allowing exchange and analysis and analytics across more, let's say, an ecosystem level value chain than just a company level value chain. Another key influence really is regulations, right? So regulatory compliance by organizations, that's of course a recognized measure of accountability and responsibility within any industry. And globally, organizations are more and more adopting, let's say, enterprise goals, such as safe chemical use is a good example, conflict-free mineral sourcing is a good example, and there are many forms of sustainability development, of course, out there. And I think from a supply chain perspective, it's very reasonable to assume that we're going to see even more regulations coming from governments for things like traceability and the notion of product provenance going forwards, right? We all know this, right? You can scan the QR code on your favorite chocolate bar or beer bottle, and you'll know its origin and the origin of its ingredients. Then sustainability, we heard before as well, right? I think here's an important aspect is the now more than ever educated and also sort of, digitally equipped consumer, right? That's really changing how businesses approach sustainability. We are all far more aware that we can go out there and vote with our wallet, right? So this new global consumer awareness of sustainable consumption, of recyclability, of upcycling, that's actually changing the way manufacturers design products, manage production, care for sourcing and sources, and deliver their products. And I think the good news really is for us in supply chain and digital fulfillment is that driving down cost and increase productivity, that actually can work quite nicely hand in hand with these type of objectives, right? For example, using optimization technology to reduce waste or to reduce energy cost. Then the notion of customer experience becomes another driving force, right? The digital technology really can be a key element to drive a more, let's say, seamless and frictionless experience. And that's true for both B2B customers and consumers alike. I think it's fair to assume that sort of in an increasingly dynamic and high-paced markets of the near future, right, the supply chain capabilities, they will play a critical role in driving customer responsiveness and resilience. And in the, let's be honest, right, in the old world of commerce, being demand-driven, that was pretty much, lip service, and organizations often just used, push-based strategies and, just move the products downstream. However, right, rapid competitive shifts and the ability to sense demand, all that has altered the nature of our supply chains, right? The supply chains of the future will have to be more resilient, more sustainable, and also more dynamically segmented, right? Which really means segmentation is recreated far more frequently. Right, so far we really have sort of talked about forces and, let's say, predictions about the supply chain of the future. We haven't talked about some of the more profound influences the current pandemic has on all our professional lives, right? I mean, supply chains as such have always been about getting, let's say, the right product in the right quantity to the right place at the right time and at the right price. And there has always been, let's say, a trade-off between SKU range and velocity, or product range and velocity. Supply chains that are operating on a limited SKU range, they have tended to show a higher velocity compared to complex supply chains with large SKU counts, right? But in the past, the retailers, they would have gravitated towards offering highly differentiated assortments. And the manufacturers would have responded with variety and custom configurations, and all that often really at the expense of speed and agility. That has often led to low inventory turns, high levels of inventory, high levels of waste. So if you think about it from a societal perspective, it actually is a form of vanity in a consumerism-oriented society. We can all ask ourselves, do we really need 28 different strawberry jams in our supermarket shelves? Right? COVID-19 brought us back to focus more on what counts. This incredibly fast shift in demand is really testimony to that. Assortments have come down significantly, right? With a focus on stocking the shelves reliably, but with a smaller number of products. For example, we've spoken with CPG manufacturers that have reduced their assortment from over 50K to roughly 10K overnight, right? And this has simplified their overall fulfillment process, and then it led to simpler packaging operations, simpler warehousing operations, and a much, much higher velocity, of keeping those shelves stocked, particularly for toilet paper, right? So manufacturers, they're also reducing the level of, let's say, regional or sometimes retailer-specific customizations. We spoke to a food and beverage company, and they noted that they cut the number of distinct SKU for a popular snack down from 30 to 40 by getting rid of all those customizations. So the combination of a smaller assortment and lower customization, that has allowed then obviously to lower the inventory and, more importantly, lower the waste. And it will be very interesting to see if the world's just going to bounce back to silly levels of SKU proliferation, or if we learn maybe that less is more, as other global objectives like sustainability are perceived as more important than having the choice between 28 different strawberry jams in the supermarket. My next point here is about going from rules to AI. Right? We're now in a situation where clearly the past data patterns, they can't just simply be replicated through, let's say, statistical procedures while expecting that to be or to provide reliable indicators of future demand. Right? In these conditions, standards of rule-based decision-making, it does not provide the optimal outcomes. So we've learned that machine learning can pick up the most critical signals quickly, right, and then respond to changes in demand and supply better than other technologies. My next point is the rise of omni-channel commerce, right, and that the rise of omni-channel commerce really showed the companies of the world how far away we actually are from real-time inventory visibility, and subsequently from profitable fulfillment across channels, right? And that's really something we intend to change for our Blue Yonder customers. with our recent acquisition of Yantrix, improving omni-channel fulfillment, sort of one microservice. And lastly, we see two trends where our customers become more than just sort of consumers of our IP, of our intellectual property. But firstly, companies are increasingly working with platform providers to blend data and logic and to build powerful experiences for their customers and for their associates. The other element is that our customers are increasingly wanting to be co-creators, innovators, extenders, rather than just implement packaged software. So that can be on capability level, right, as well as through just consuming microservices via APIs as building blocks for custom applications. So future supply chains, they will have to be connected, and that connection will be enabled by a cloud-based central platform that is supporting an extended ecosystem that will integrate information, orchestrate workflow and processes, and execute actions across the highly segmented value chain, right? Really, in order to put the customer at the center of the chain, segmentation especially has to become far more dynamic and far more granular. The whole one-size-fits-all supply chain approach won't cut it. So this creates a more holistic view of operations for enterprises, and that would provide new levels of agility as well as resilience. And of course, all of that with the customer at the center of the supply chain. So I've used the term platform a lot now, right? And I would say many folks in our industry would associate platform, let's say, with a set of technology. But for us, platform really is the foundational element of an ecosystem. And as such, the creation of a platform is a selfless act to some extent, right? And as we can see here from this quote from Bill Gates, where he says, a platform is when the economic value of everybody using it exceeds the value of the company that creates it. So to me, that's sort of not at all a technical definition. And we all know the platform economy, right? From examples like iOS and Android in the mobile devices space, or YouTube for videos. And in a similar sense, the Blue Yonder Luminate platform is the platform for supply chain and digital fulfillment, right? Where platforms and customers alike become producers and consumers of capability. Let's say in a 1 + 1 is more than 2 fashion. Also very important is user experience. It really matters these days, right? Today's young workforce grew up with the iPhone. So micro front ends, from our perspective, really are the latest trend in platform engineering. And companies need the flexibility to create modern sort of task-oriented interface to drive outcome. And micro front ends, fit that bill perfectly. So the Blue Yonder platform portal approach enables this for our customers, with enabling use case and role-oriented ways of creating user experience in a no-code environment. So really at the heart of our offering, right, to our customers and also to our partners is really the Luminate platform, right? As mentioned before, the term platform has been used in our industry based on a far more narrow definition than what we mean it here, right? Many providers refer to just a single data model or a single data storage technology with maybe one way of utilizing that data from a UX perspective as a platform, right? And that's not at all what we mean, right? We mean platform as in this foundational element of the ecosystem. Of course, it too has the notion of one data, but it's not limited to a single technology. It has graph databases, data lakes, memory resident technology, and still the one version of the truth tenet holds true, looking at the platform as a whole. But it can use the appropriate technology that really suits the use case, while at the same time ensuring data coherence through APIs, through advanced data management, and also based on a single data model, the Blue Yonder data model as a reference model. It also has the one experience element. Only here it means giving degrees of freedom to our customers to combine capabilities into persona and role-based use case workflows by utilizing those configurable micro front-end components as part of a single portal experience that gives access to the required functionality. So therefore, the Blue Yonder digital fulfillment platform is SaaS native, built on Microsoft Azure with microservices architecture, giving access to internal and external data through APIs and advanced data management, as well as workflow and orchestration. Also, analytics are important, right? They give insights, not just data, right? And they help become more proactive in business management. And actually, so does machine learning and AI. So Blue Yonder has very unique experience in actually industrializing machine learning, and the platform has an element called machine learning as a service. And that's sort of our way of making that experience accessible both to our customers and also to our partners. It's very important. The last element to cover really is then the notion of one ecosystem. This is what makes the creation of the Blue Yonder platform the selfless act, as stated before. It's open and it can spur innovation, and it may take both our and your IP to unanticipated reach, right? It's open today for our customers and partners to build apps on it. And there are already some 20 apps on our solution exchange. So for example, TCS have built a factory level control tower, which was also showcased at our developer conference, including mobile experience. And this really is the good news, right? The Blue Yonder platform comes with 35 years of supply chain management experience built in. Very deep algorithmic capabilities that drive value, that are accessible to partners and customers alike through an open and forward-looking platform approach. Be it our planning, or retail, or execution capabilities. The way you can consume and leverage our intellectual property, our like 400 plus patents, to drive your business forward, that has been fundamentally changed to tackle the challenges discussed earlier. So, for example, right, as an example, companies we found are investing in their own sort of machine learning practices, their own data science practices. But it turns out the process of building something scalable and repeatable that also reliably supports a business process while being continuously trained, as over time, of course, new data accrues. That's very difficult. And overcoming this chasm between, let's say, promising prototype on the one hand and industrialized process support, that is a key competence of Blue Yonder. We're leveraging experience that reaches back into the 90s when our algorithms were originally conceived by physicists at the CERN in Geneva at the Large Hadron Collider experiment. So this patented BY technology really makes machine learning results explainable, which is a very important trait to ensure adoption and the success of any machine learning project. Another good example is real-time visibility. I believe we heard about that earlier on. So any sort of digital control tower provides, or that should be called a digital control tower, really needs to provide more than just the monitoring of the network in near real time. It also needs to connect to the edge, really sense external events, and it needs to support the internal and the external collaboration, orchestrate the responses, and actually learning to automate such responses or the resolution, as we like to say, for future issues. So why does this all matter? Visibility and machine learning based predictions and consumption of capabilities in a platform economy, being able to extend and become a contributor. Well, ultimately, it's all about creating unique capabilities, even unique IP that helps you to better compete, right? All while leveraging existing capabilities much quicker and much easier than ever before, and to harness the power of an ecosystem enabled by an open platform so that you can put your customer at the center of all your planning, all your commerce, and all your logistics activities. Well, I do hope you found this useful. If you want to make sort of the next step in your digitalization journey, we'd be happy to support you. We offer this digital maturity assessment. There's two of them, two flavors, for manufacturing and for retail. and they'll return valuable insights for you. So I think the link will be shared here in the chat function, else obviously you'll find it on blueyonder.com. And with that, I'm at the end. So thank you very much for indulging me. If you have any questions, we have, I believe, a Q&A coming up. Else, feel free to reach out to me. Here are my contact details. Connect with me on LinkedIn, or if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter as well. Thanks very much.